This is Stage Left Planet, and I'm your host, Warita Wimbush, and this episode is Princess Diana, the Queen of Queens, the Queen of the First Wives Club. Yes, Princess Diana was a vibrant, brilliant woman who cared about the well being of those in need and tried to enjoy life, especially her sons, to its fullest. Seeing her blossom from a shy young school teacher into a glamorous queen in her own right was wonderful. She shines so brightly that those with no spark of their own were often offended by by the essence, by the very essence of her existence. Now, Diana was a first wife. Many women are first wives. Many women are and have been first wives. And the role of a first wife can be very, very complex because number one, you, especially if you get married young, when you get married young in particular, there are dynamics in which you and your husband need to adjust within your marriage. You have to adjust to those things. You have to adjust to being married life, and interacting with those who are extended family and friends, and situations and dynamics that impact your marriage, such as careers. And if you have children, before and even after you're married, children. Very, 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 and even outlying dynamics, such as people who may be interested in you or your spouse, whether, you know, like, people who want to have an affair with you or your spouse or break up your marriage so that they can be with you. There are people out there that are like that. So you just have to be careful. And there are just some people who are just hateful and want to see people broken up. Now, Diana was a first wife. She was a first wife in one of the most well-known families in the world. She was the first wife in a family in which some members sought the press as much as they proclaimed to hate it. They yelled for privacy, but at the same time, they yelled, "Look at me." You know, Now, Diana was naturally magnetic, especially as she came into her own. She didn't have to yell, "Look at me," because you were going to look at her anyway. Diana was naturally magnetic. Yet the sentiment among some was that she was intentionally eclipsing Charles, and she intentionally eclipsed Charles. However, she never had to intentionally do that at all. She never did. She never had to, my light on my phone, shut down. Well, I'm glad you can still see me because the light from the kitchen shined on me. Anyway, however, she never had to intentionally do that. She reached out, had a heart for people. She didn't focus on herself. It was all about the well-being of others. Okay. She even put her life at risk by going out to countries that still had live mines to make people aware of the dangers of using landmines. Yes, still had live landmines, and how people were getting injured, even killed by those still active landmines that were like probably 20, 30, 40 years old, still active. People walking around in Asian countries and other countries, even African countries, with those landmines there, getting injured, getting killed, getting severely hurt, getting injured, getting killed. And she put her life at risk by going through those areas, going to the locations where those mines were to show the dangers of them by triggering them. She worked with children, with people. She worked to shine a light on the plight of others, women, children, people who had AIDS and other illnesses, who lived in absolute abject poverty. She worked she used her role as a royal to highlight the plight of others so that the world can see, hey, these people need our help. We are mankind. We must come together to help one another. That is what she did. That is what she did. In these harsh economic times, though, Charles, especially in the harsh times of economic uncertainty in the United Kingdom and globally, Charles felt entitled to have its citizens, the citizens of the UK, who had to struggle in the winter to have heat, pledge allegiance to him while he rides around in a gold carriage. And then yet there are people who are saying, oh, Diana was stealing the spotlight from Charles. And it's like, okay, who wants to look at this type of egotistical grandiosity and self-delusion that King Charles put on display? Lowercase King, Charles, exuded, even to the point that he had no regard for her as his wife, really. Totally disrespectful, parading Camilla around the way in which he did, though. And Camilla, cutthroat and evil, knew when he was marrying Diana, that she was still in love with him and that they were in an affair. And she goes wedding dress shopping, gives her input on Diana's wedding dress to her. How evil and stupid is that? She's gonna have to answer to God for that. She really will. Indeed. Diana didn't feel entitled to be exalted above other people, except in her marriage, where she felt she deserved to be loved and respected as a wife. First wives often get vilified by manipulative, selfish, immature, narcissistic men and their enabling families and friends. Excuse me. They often get vilified. The first wives often get vilified by them. Excuse me. Got so passionate, started choking, throat got dry. But yes, first wives often get vilified by them. They really do. And it's a shame. It is an awful shame. These men and his enablers are they are manipulative, selfish, immature, narcissistic. And when there is no one else to blame for their shortcomings, particularly the shortcomings of the man, people who have enabled them into becoming the louses that they are often join them in bashing first wives and all associated with her, including the children that she bore and bears. Excuse me, y'all. I'm so sorry. Wolves and wolves in sheep clothing is what I refer to them as, these men. In spite of their selfishness, the husbands the husbands are terrible at self-governing, whether it be spiritually, emotionally, economically, socially, look, or physically. Their lack of self-governing becomes their own self-destruction and the destruction of those around them. They are incels with wives. When they ruin things, they blame their wives. When the wives attempt to stop the madness, the man child, the men children accuse her of controlling them or trying to control them. They'll say that you're too strong willed when you show the slightest sign of being your own person. They would rather you be their ornament and show pony. They'll say that you're stupid or weak and keep messing them up also. Now, the wolves of these people, I refer to them as wolves, are often overt about who they are. You see them coming. They are like comedian Andrew Dice Clay, very misogynistic, very misogynistic, the granddaddy of true toxic masculinity. Sorry, I'm pulling my earbuds off. The granddaddy of true toxic masculinity. They are emotionally and psychologically abusive. Not uncommon is for them to be physically abusive. They'll even use religion and spirituality to be abusive. Often, their abusive ways are in plain sight and obvious. Now, the wolves in sheep's clothing are subtle. They act like the sweetest, most gentle, perfect man. I knew one. They can be charming and charismatic. They would rather get sympathy from others than take ownership of problems that they cause. Many don't even, matter of fact, I knew more than one of them. Many of them don't even want to address problems when they occur, especially when confrontation is involved. They'll rather let their woman fight their battles for them than for them to step up like a man and actually address the issue, the actual issue. They would rather be upset with the person who warned them of the problem. They don't want to step up to deal with problems that require bravery to solve them. If it involves them being brave and stepping up like a man, they don't want nothing to do with it. They just let the problem get out of control. Or not say nothing or let somebody else handle it. They're like Ahab when Ahab wanted Naboth's land. He got upset when Naboth told him, "No, this is land that I inherited. I'm not going to sell it or give it away." Ahab went home and in my mind, I see him throwing himself on the bed like a child, pouting. And Jezebel comes up and asks him, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Naboth won't give me his land and he won't even let me buy it from him." So Jezebel swoops in with her evil cape and gets these people, these conspirators, to lie on Naboth to say that he was blaspheming and breaking laws and things so that they could put him to death and take the land to give to Ahab. Excuse me. To give to Ahab. Wolves in sheep's clothing are proudly Ahab's. They are the men, they are men who would even let a woman rule over them and whoop them as long as they getting what they want from the woman. Like if the woman taking care of them financially, then they'll let her think she having her way when what they want from her is much more important than what she thinks she than the power that she thinks she has over him. I had an ex-boyfriend that was like that, and I kept noticing, I'm like, "Wait a minute, you docile and, too late." I'm like, "Ew." Now that and I wasn't purposely arguing with him or nothing, I just noticed when it was time for him to step up and do things, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you a wuss. Get out my face." So, that's how wolves in sheep's clothing roll them. Now, or they want some base, and some of them want a mother figure with whom they can have sex. And I'm like, if you my husband, I'm not trying to be your mama at all. I'm not trying to be your mama. Period. Point blank, period. I'm really not. That's not even appealing to me. Trying to be that, not being your partner, your friend, your wife, being there for you in that capacity, even emotionally, yes, but coddling you like I'm your mama and swooping in like I'm your mama daddy, dad mom. No, that's a total turn off. Ugh. Anyway, now again, they would rather get sympathy from others than take ownership of problems that they cause. Many don't even want to address problems when they occur, especially when confrontation is involved. They'll sit there like some old big house cat, like they didn't even know what was going on, knowing full well what was happening and that they were supposed to step up. And yet have the nerve to have you questioning your sanity and others questioning your character to make themselves look blameless. Now, the enablers, instead of contributing fairness or at least staying out of the married couple's business, enablers go out of their way not to hold the man accountable, especially when it's obvious that things are his fault. Often, this is seen when the man has wealth and power. The hangers on benefit by being a wedge in a relationship. Or when a man displays behavior that is a bad reflection on his family and friends, they cover for him. When a man is a burden to his family and friends, they want to make him seem appealing to others to make him their burden, those other people's burdens. And when the man has hidden his real ways by gaslighting others into thinking that he's a good guy overall. And when the man has desperate pick-me's that want him in spite of his failure to be a mature adult. And when a man has gold diggers that want him. And when the man may not actually like nor respect women as individuals, and when a man has miserable male friends that want him to join them in their misery, and when the man has male friends that may dislike women in general also, and when the man has male friends that may have an underlying desire to be monogamous with him. The children. The children of these unions are commonly criticized, vilified, and discarded when they don't go along with the guy's foolishness. He'll throw them away and under the bus and feel justified in doing so when the children won't be gaslit by him nor the enablers. They are accused of being brainwashed by their mother. Prince William and Harry have been pressured into accepting being the happy casualties of Charles and Camilla's reckless, selfish behavior. William honors Camilla as his mother, a wonderful woman. He doesn't hold her accountable for her part in the ruin of his parents' marriage. He doesn't he doesn't hold Camilla and Charles accountable for the severe depression with which Diana dealt. He says nothing while Camilla subtly and methodically replaces him and Harry with her own biological children in the public eye. He says nothing about Charles celebrating it. He cozies up to a media institution that killed his mother and feverishly works to destroy the reputation of his brother, Harry. Harry honors his mother and holds the British media and Camilla accountable for their psychopathic behavior that brought misery to his mother's life. A new Peter Pan syndrome is what we are seeing. A new Peter Pan syndrome, miserable man children. These man children, men children, are always the victim at all costs. They want to prosper from the benefits of the role of a real man, but don't want to actually fulfill the role. When things go wrong, they act like the baby who doesn't get held accountable for their actions. They want others to continuously tell them it's okay. It's not their fault, or not as much their fault as someone else's fault. Princess Diana, a queen of hearts, a queen of queens. Princess Diana was a beautiful person. She is beloved for the wonderful person God created her to be. God bless Princess Diana of Wales. She was true royalty.